Hello, lovely. This is Yasmin from Tiny Time Big Results. And in today's podcast episode, I want to talk to you about getting honest in business. And I have to admit to you, I had a slightly different title for this podcast. And I thought it might just be a bit triggering. And so here's what I want to talk to you about. I want to talk about really getting honest with ourselves in business. And one of the things that I was thinking about recently was this feeling of shame that we can have in our business. A few years ago, I was working with a mentor and we used to do this activity where we'd have like 3 different levels of communication. When you think about, when you talk to somebody, like a colleague or an acquaintance, and they're like, how's business? And you're like, oh, it's great, thanks. And then you might talk to someone who's a little bit closer to you and you're like, oh, it's okay, yeah. And then you get to that 3rd level where you're talking to somebody that you trust and you can openly say to them, actually, do you know what? Things aren't great. I'm not having a good month, or this happened or that happened. That opportunity to really be honest about what's going on for you in business is so invaluable. And yet so many people don't have that or don't look for it. And I actually think it could be one of your biggest blocks in business, because if you are always thinking that you have to be positive and you have to be, always focusing in on, all the things that are going right and putting on a front, because you want to save face, you don't want to admit to anybody that you're struggling or that, things aren't great, then that actually holds us back, because what we're doing is we're not admitting that to ourselves. And, the first step is always, just saying, well, actually, this is the way it is. I need help. Or I just want to vent. Sometimes we just want to vent and say, wah, you make all of those noises, and you just want to get it off your chest. Like when any of my kids are upset, or even if they've just stubbed their toe and they're crying, one of the things I always say to them is let it all out, let all the tears out. Because when you stubbed your toe and you get that sense of frustration, and then suddenly you just explode in a whole bunch of messy tears. And the truth is, like, we need to let that out of our energy system, because otherwise what happens is it gets trapped. And when it gets trapped, it starts to impact our decisions, the way that we look at things, the things that we're doing, and not in a good way. And so as I was exploring this idea myself this week, I was thinking about, okay, what would people typically feel shame about in their business? So I came up with 3 examples. Now, that obviously it's not an exhaustive list. I'm sure there are many more, but I just wanted to come up with some of probably the big ones. So first of all, maybe there is a bit of shame or a feeling of frustration about your results, that you're thinking, I should be further than I am right now. Okay, that's a big one. And, I will openly admit that is one that I often beat myself up with. It's the little stick that I have, and it's like, you should be further on, you should be further on. And you're like, shut up. But it's there. That voice is there. The second one could be that you're feeling embarrassed or ashamed about your money situation. Maybe you're not making the money that you want. And, that can really trigger a whole series of emotions and feelings and thoughts around the money, because you might look at other people and think they're doing so much better than I am. They're so much better at this than I am. They're making more money, therefore they must be better than me. And all of that is nonsense, right? You do, don't you? Right? So we're using the feeling of embarrassment or the feeling of shame around your money situation. And that could be whether you have 10 grand in the bank, 100 grand in the bank, or 100 quid in the bank, right? Everyone is different. And you're feeling shame about that. And that does create this ripple effect. It kind of starts impacting everything else. So that's a big one, that we can feel embarrassment. You don't want to say to somebody, well, actually, do you know what? This month wasn't that great. I'm struggling, whatever it might be. And then, you might be feeling embarrassment or shame about your messaging. It could be that you think, God, nobody knows who I am. Nobody knows what I'm doing. My messaging isn't hitting the spot. I'm not getting clients, or I'm not getting those high value, high ticket clients because I'm just not clear. I'm so confused. And every time I put a post out there, nobody responds, nobody looks at my stuff. Like, let me know if you're resonating with this, or if you can relate to it, because I know I can. You know, business is not all rainbows and unicorns. You and I both know that. And there will be ups and downs. That's completely normal. And there's a guy I follow on YouTube, and he is he works in transformation, and he's a former comedian. Well, I think he's still a comedian, but so he mixes transformation with comedy, and it's a really great it's a great mix. His name is Kyle C, so definitely check him out. One of the things that he says, and he's very big into accepting what is, and really getting in touch with our inner divinity and our higher self, and knowing that we're always protected and guided and secure always. And one of the things that he talks about is, you know, whenever you're getting that moment of shame or embarrassment, or like, I should be further on than I am, instead of letting that be a stick that you hit yourself with, let that be a moment where you say, I'm not where I thought I would be at this stage, and I love that. Because already the energy in your body starts to change, starts to transform, because what you're doing is you're reducing the resistance, you're lessening the resistance, and you're weakening it, which means that it's not going to be so strong. You know, I thought I'd be making more money right by now, and I'm not, but I love that. I'm okay with that. Because when you, in that moment, when you make peace with where you are, that actually is a moment where you are truly connecting with your higher self. And you know that you are protected and you are guided, and you will be guided to the actions and the things to do that's going to get you in the place where it is going to be easier to be able to make more money. You know, there have been times when I've signed clients, made a lot of money, and then I'm like, how did that happen? That was so easy. And then there have been other times where it has been a hard slog and it's been so difficult, and I'm like, I can't understand what's going on. And I know that when I look back and I look at the times where I was truly in flow, truly trusting, and that's a tough one for me, and maybe it is for you, but when I'm really truly trusting, and I know that I'm guided and I'm protected and I'm safe, that's when my best work comes forth. But when I'm all anxious and afraid and worried, like, that's when everything just goes to pot, you know, and it just makes everything so much harder. And I really do believe that when we are open and when we are honest about what's going on, so that we can then make a different decision, we can make a different choice that actually is going to help your business to grow and to flourish. And so what I want you to take from this episode today is know that we all feel levels of shame and embarrassment and judgment about ourselves in business. So I want you to know a couple of things, right? First of all, you are not your business, right? If the business is not doing well, that does not mean that you are in any way less worthy, less beautiful in our divine universe. I woke up this morning to let the little puppy out, and I opened the patio door and went out. And first thing I have started to do ever since we got the puppy, because I'm the first one up, and I let him out. And the first thing I do is I look up to the stars, and oh my goodness, the stars this morning were unbelievable. And it reminds me of just the beauty and the glory of the universe. And so I want you to know that if your business isn't doing great, that's okay, right? And we have to tell ourselves this every single day, every single moment. You say, I love that. I'm okay with that, because in that moment, you are connecting with your higher self, and that will actually give you what you need from a place of fullness to step into, okay, well, what do I choose to do? What do I decide? How do I decide differently? And the second thing that I really want to encourage you to do is to make sure you have your people, the people that you can talk to about this. that, you know, when you think about that third level of communication, when someone says, how's things going? And you're like, do you know what? I'm finding it a bit tough right now. Make sure you have people in your corner who you can talk to honestly, openly, and you can be vulnerable with them, knowing that you are completely safe and completely protected and guided. Because that will be one of the best things that you could ever do for yourself, is to know that you have someone, and it could just be one person, but you have someone that you can talk to about this. This makes all the difference. And, you know, that person is going to be the one that you literally can bear everything to. And I'm getting emotional because my sister does that for me. And, you know, I can say whatever I need to say, and she will always, always be open and loving. And that's what you want for your person too. Someone who is going to take it warts and all, and they're just going to be like, I'm here for you. You are safe. You are protected. You are guided. Okay. On that note, I'm going to leave you with this thought. Okay. Remember, you are not your business. You are so worthy. You're so beautiful. And we need what you do. So it's just about letting yourself get connected with that higher self and letting it guide you. Let your intuition, that divine intelligence to guide you. But you can't do that if you're just piling on that shame and that guilt and that judgment. Okay. It's time to let all of that go. Wouldn't you agree? All right, my love. Listen, have an amazing, amazing day, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care.